What's up? Okay, I almost fell. Yes, I'm in my PJs because it was snowing. I don't know what it's doing right now. But anyway, I absolutely love when I get downloads, y'all. Oh my goodness. I was or am doing laundry, much needed laundry. Actually was supposed to be traveling today. And yeah, because of the weather, I'm not. But anyway, oh my God, it just feels amazing when you finally get, or when you finally like truly tap into like what it is that you are, you know, really called to do. And what it is that you are meant to, your purpose, like, oh goodness. I was just thinking about, so a lot of you all know that I wanted to say stage name. It's not, but a lot of you know that I'm Soulful Healing. So it was funny because I was really truly sitting here and, well, not even sitting, I was just doing some things. And I started to think about it. I was like, wow, Felicia, like, look at your journey. So some of you may remember back in the day, maybe about 7 years ago, excuse me, I used to be Unique Women. So Be Unique Women was all about being unique and building a strong mind, body, and soul by tapping into your uniqueness. And it was geared towards women. And I did a lot of stuff with fitness challenges, stuff like that. So it's really like focusing on like each woman, like really like loving who they are and loving their body and loving their uniqueness and realizing that we all show up differently. We all are unique in our own way. And so life happened. And as I started to experience life, I realized today, like through all those experiences, like I was evolving and I was going through all of these experiences and going through my life, and it was adding to what had originally started. So, Be Unique kind of started to go down a little bit because I was just like, there's more. Like, there's more to that. There's more for you to do, Felicia. Like, there's so much more. And so, as I stated, I went through a really tough time in my life. So, just a little to kind of like really like be transparent and really vulnerable and really like share my story. So, about around that time, I was in a marriage. I was in a marriage I was with my ex-husband for about 14 years. And out of the 14 years, we were married about going on almost 10 years. And so I wasn't happy. I had this group, Be Unique, and I wasn't really tapping into my uniqueness. I was playing it safe inside of this box. And I got this TV going. Hold on. We're gonna have a commercial break here, people. Okay, I'm back. Yeah, I had to do a intermission because of the I don't know what was happening with the TV, but anyway. So get back to kind of talking about how everything derives. So I was going through a really tough time, and some of you all may know this story and some may not. It took me a long time before I even started to really talk about it. So I was living inside of this box, and I like to call it the safety. It's the, well, this is what I should do because this is what society says you should do. You should, even though you're not happy, you should just try to make it work. And so, then that's what I was trying to do. Two beautiful girls, and I just wasn't happy. And it was like, okay, Felicia, you're teaching, and and showing other women like how to be unique and how to tap into their uniqueness, and you're not really doing it yourself. And so I had to take a backseat and I had to deal with what was going on. I had to heal with everything that was happening in my life. And so at the same time all this was happening, I went through a really, really tough time as far as depression. I finally got out of the relationship, which made me spiral even more into depression. And I just didn't know who Felicia was. I was just so confused. I went through 2 years of counseling, which, at first I wasn't going to do any counseling because, you just think to yourself, I don't need counseling. I don't want to go talk to nobody about my problems, because I kept everything inside. And so I'm so grateful that I did. Went to counseling, to a beautiful person who really allowed me to tap into not only what was happening right then and there, but also what had even happened in my childhood that continued to allow me to think the way that I was thinking. And so during that time, and just to, kind of to take it a step backwards, prior to going and getting help, there was one specific night where, I just felt like that, I didn't know what else to do. I just felt like, why in the world am I, living like this? I am in pain. I'm not really liking my life. I am severely depressed. And, and what I realized during that time is that mental health is the real deal, y'all. It is. It's the real deal. And I reached out and was like, I need help, because I didn't feel like I really wanted to live anymore. And so I sought out help, which is the most important thing for anyone that's going through severe depression, is to seek out help. And so I sought out help, got on medication, did counseling for 2 years, and, and I don't, even now, I'm not on medication anymore. I slowly wean myself off of medication myself. I incorporated it, yoga practices, meditation, breath work, all the things that I talk about now. That's what I incorporated. And I use those things to help me cope with the stress, the things that was happening in my life. And, I never say that people don't need medication. And that was something I didn't want to me, it was like a Band-Aid. And I wanted to learn how to cope. I didn't want to have to be medicated for the rest of my life. And I understood at the time that I needed to be on medication because I was in a pretty bad state. So, I don't say that it's not needed, and I found ways of coping so that I did not have to be on that anymore. I took a more holistic approach to it all. And so as I was going through that, and then also as I was going through, my counseling, and I was doing my yoga, I was doing the meditation, the breath work, and I started to really get into essential oils and really use a more holistic approach to help deal with my feelings, to help with the depression, etc. And people always ask me, even now, like, they're like, how did you get rid of your depression? And I always say, I never got rid of the depression. Like, you don't get rid of it. You learn how to see when it's coming, or see when something in your life triggers it. And you learn the ways. It's self-healing, what I preach about all the time. You learn the ways of things, of how to cope with it and how to deal with it. And the more and more that I have practiced it, the more and more that I incorporate it into my daily routine, which I think is very important to have that, the more and more I incorporate it, the more and more I snap out of things really quickly. Like, something can happen and I'll have a moment. And I tell people this all the time. When stress hits you, when things happen, feel it. Don't shove it away. Don't push it over to the side, because guess what? It's going to come back out. Like, it's going to come out full-fledged. It's kind of like, I use this analogy all the time. It's like my two girls. I tell them, go clean your room, girls. And they'll clean it, and I'll walk in, and I'm like, oh, yay, they did it. Okay, looks great. And then I go open up their closet and be like, what the? It just like stuff be falling out. I'll be like, really, y'all? Really? This is cleaning. And what has happened is they so-called clean, but they shoved everything into the closet. And so that's what happens in our lives, y'all, for real. Like when we don't allow ourselves to feel what we need to feel, when we don't allow ourselves to, really like be in tune to what's happening, we shove it over into corners. We shove it into corners of our heart and just in our body. And then eventually what happens is it just comes out full-fledged, full force, and it's nasty, versus really feeling what you need to feel and releasing it and learning the ways of how to do that, how to cope with that, and how to manage that. That's how I deal with it, So we can't get rid of stress. Like life is going to happen, right? It's how we choose to react to the things that happen in our lives that is the most important thing. And so that's what I feel that I went through all of that to be able to teach all of that. And so, I tell people all the time, I don't regret anything that has happened in my life because it has made me who I am today, because it has allowed me to be able to help others. And so, fast forward through all of that, I spent a good amount of time working on Felicia. I spent so much time really learning all the things, like really learning how to heal myself, how to take everything that I learned, everything that I got from my counselor, everything that I, got from yoga, meditation, breath work, chakra, balancing, energy work, like everything that I've grasped from that. And I still learn. I'm still learning more. And so I'm so grateful for even my coaches that I have now. I'm still learning even more. And so I took all of that, and that's what helped me to be able to evolve and to continue to evolve. And so fast forward to 2018, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 2018. So I went to, so again, I had Be Unique, and I knew there was more. There was something more that I needed to do. There was a blessing behind everything I had gone through. I started to really get in tune to who I was and who I am, and really just saw that there was so much more there. And so during that time, I was really trying to figure it all out, try to figure out what is my purpose? What is the thing that I am truly here to do? I've always helped people, even, back in my athletic training, and I'm still an athletic trainer, so I still love my athletes. Even back when I was, really dealing with my athletes too as well, I knew there was a purpose. There's a divine thing for you, that divinity that, truly is for you, And so I went to Bali. Oh my goodness, love Bali. If you haven't ever been, go. It's worth the flight. It was long, but it's worth it. But anyway, I went to Bali. I went to, that's where Detached with Dork. That was the retreat. And I love Sinai. And that's where it hit me, y'all. It took me going clear across to the other side of the world, really, literally to the other side of the world. It took me being secluded in an island where I had no access to no phone, no access to really the world at all. It took that for me to really hone in. And so I remember being in a hammock, and I remember journaling, and that's something that I do now and I've been doing for a while. I remember writing in my journal, and I spent a whole day just being in a hammock. I didn't want to do any activities. The rest of the group had went to go do some activities, and I said, you know what? My thing was during the time that I was going through all the stuff I was going through, I was constantly doing things. Like I was running races, I was doing this, I was doing that, I was all over the place. And what I realized is that I was doing all of those things. I was running away from really dealing with what was really happening. And I noticed that that was a trend with everything. Anytime I didn't really want to sit with something, anytime I really didn't want to deal with anything, I was constantly like doing stuff. Like I wouldn't be still. And so that was one of the reasons why meditation was such a good thing for me, because it really forced me to really be still and really listen, to listen to my heart, to listen to what was the thing that I needed to hear. And so this particular day, I remember writing, and I was writing and crying and writing and crying and writing and crying. And it was just like so much was being released out. Like it was, I mean, just talking about it just it makes me want to tear up. But it was just like, finally, it was another release that I needed to have. And I wrote these 2 words, soulful healing. And it was like, wow, that's what it is. Soulful healing. It was healing from the soul, you know? And so that's where soulful healing came from. Beautiful Bali. And so I knew when I came back that my Felicia comes back again, the comeback of Felicia was going to be about healing. And I knew that, it all encompassed the mind, body, and soul. And it was like healing, not just about building, but healing the mind, body, and soul. And so I came back full, just renewed, revived, just ready to just go. And that's where Soulful Healing just started up. And so I knew that everything that I had gone through, everything that I was all about healing. It was all about learning, realizing that we can do all the things, but I ran marathons, right? I was physically fit, but I was not emotionally. I wasn't emotionally well. And what happens is you can be doing all the things, you can be running all the races all you want to. You can be running marathons. You can be doing CrossFit competitions, which I was doing. You could be doing all of those things and still not be optimal well, still not have the full-fledged wellness. And then what in turn happens is when you're not emotionally well, or when there's things going on inside, what happens is it just builds and builds and builds and builds and builds and builds. And then eventually it just full-fledged comes out. And all of the races and all of the CrossFit competitions and all the things, all the doing doesn't matter anymore, because what was inside that never healed has now taken over that. And so I realized that, wow, you gotta heal from the soul first. And so what's so crazy is today, as I was doing laundry, it happens at such a weird time, right? As I was doing laundry, I was like, wow, Felicia, what's the word I want to use? The evolution, I'll use that. The evolution of how it started with Be Unique Women and building a strong mind, body, and soul. And then it started to get into healing. And then it, was evolving even more. And so then, the other day, I think it was Monday, something came to mind, and I was like, wow, in order to create movement, we have to have mindfulness. And then it clicked. I said to myself, it takes mindfulness to create movement in our lives. And so then everything started to come together. And then today, again, like the downloading just happened even more. And I realized, wow, I get it now. I got it. Learning how to bridge the gap between mindfulness and movement. Like, we have to be mindful in order to create movement in our lives. So whatever goal that you have, whatever thing that you've been trying to do, whatever, race or competition or weight loss that you've been trying to have, or just overall, just, business goal, career goal, like, it takes the mindfulness, it takes you dealing with like getting down, like really getting deep down inside, dealing with the thing to create movement, And so what I realized is that, wow, soulful healing has 3 parts to it. It really does. It deals with the mind, as I stated before, the body and the soul. The mind, learning how to tap into self-awareness. What's happening in your head? What is the narrative that is going on in your head that is like the disconnect? What is the thing that's stopping you from achieving whatever you're trying to achieve? What narrative is happening in your head? And then from a body standpoint, the movement, the self-care, like, how are you creating movement in your life? Like, is there energy stuck somewhere that's causing your movement to be stagnant, that's causing you not to get to where you want to get to? What is it? What is that thing? And then soul, like really diving into soul, like, what is it that you are wanting to do? And then whatever it is that you're wanting to do, what's stopping you from doing it? What is the thing that's stopping you from getting to where you want to get to? And so what I realize is that in everything that I've done, in every like fitness thing that I've done, or every like just overall career or whatever, I had to tap into what's going on deep down inside. What is the thing that's stopping me? What is the thing that's causing me to be stuck? Like, you got to get down to the nitty gritty first. Then you got to heal from that. Whatever it is, like, that's causing you to be stuck, you got to recognize it first. And then after recognizing, you have to learn how to deal with it in regards to getting rid of the thing that's causing you to be stuck. And it may be your mind in general. It may be just changing up your narrative. It may be somebody in your life that is causing you to be stagnant. It may be the thoughts that's happening in your head, but you got to recognize it first. You got to become aware of it first. And then you've got to deal with the thing. You got to figure out what is it that's causing you to be in that position. And then also like learn ways of how to deal with it and how to release whatever is not serving you. And then you got to create movement towards what you are wanting to do. What is it that you're trying to do in your life? What is the goal? And it very well may be weight loss, something as simple as that. Like, a lot of times we don't even realize, even with something as simple as that, there's something there that is like the thing that is keeping you stuck, and we don't realize that even with something like that. And I'm using it as an example because, that's what I do, on a daily basis too as well. But even something as simple as, a goal that you're trying to achieve, it could be a career goal that you're trying to achieve. Like, what is the thing that's holding you back? You got to tap into that. And so it's crazy how everything is just all like coming together. And so when people ask me like, now, what is soulful healing? What is soulful healing all about? Like, why did I create soulful healing and where did it all derive from? Well, I just gave you about 30 minutes worth of how it all derived and where it came from. But literally, to sum it up, is bridging the gap between mindfulness and movement. It is like learning how to create like mindfulness, like learning how to take mindfulness and creating movement in your life, movement to where you are trying to go to, and doing that through self-healing, doing that through self-love practices, doing that through building self-esteem, self-worth, self-awareness. Like everything all comes back to self. Like that's what it really comes back to, y'all. It has nothing to do with anybody else but self. Because oftentimes the thing that is stopping us is not anybody else, it's self. Because we get to choose every single day how we're going to live our lives. We get to choose whether or not we're going to let what somebody has done to us affect us. We get to choose whether or not we're going to allow the negativity to be in our lives. We get to choose whether or not we're going to allow a bad 5 minutes to take control of the rest of our day. We get to choose how we will write our story that day. We all get a blank page every single day that we wake up. A blank page, and we get to choose how we are going to write it. So when it really comes down to who is the person or what is the thing that is stopping us, it all comes back to self, because we get to choose. So yeah, that's soulful healing, y'all. So yeah, I just felt like really breaking that down in my PJs. Yeah, so that's soulful healing, y'all. I love you. Love you, IG. So much love and gratitude to everybody. Mwah.